Welcome to Stamp Camp, a week of webisodes. We're happy to have you on day 4. And today we're going to have something that's irresistible from our friends at Imagine Crafts.
We have texture sprays and embellishers that make some really neat effects for your projects.
Yes, we're going to have some very fun techniques to share with you. Come play with us. Well, here is the Irresistible collection. Now you can see that there's 2 sizes of containers, so because there's 2 sizes of different products.
There are the 2-ounce spray bottles. So there are 5 spray bottles, and there are 5 of what we're calling what they call the Pico embellishers. And these are 1 ounce, so 1 ounce and 2 ounce. They come in silver, electric pink, electric blue, wedding dress white, tuxedo black.
And then going into the Picos, which are also irresistible, we have a wedding dress and silver, tuxedo, gold, and shimmer. So we're going to be using them together, but I thought it might help just to kind of see them separately this way.
So they're water-based colorants, basically. They're fade resistant. They're really visible on dark surfaces as well as light for the darker effects. And the sprays will leave like an embellished surface.
Yeah, they're raised.
They're raised, kind of like embossing powder.
Yeah, so it's a resist. So we're going to get started with our very first project. So I'm going to scoot these away.
So you can see right away what you can do with these, and then we'll start showing you how to do it.
Here is our first little charmer. So let's get in close, because then you can really experience a couple of things. Hi, kitty. First, back here, these are raised. As I'm rubbing my finger over it, I feel bumps.
Right.
And you can see that there are a variety of colors on this black cardstock.
So that's the texture spray. So you're seeing pink, blue, and white in those sprays, and they're first done on black cardstock. And this entire card was made with 1 piece of cardstock that was gatefolded to the center. And then on the center, this white piece was also sprayed with the pink and the blue, so you can see that contrast.
Right. So you get that. And the kitty, well, first I just have to show you the stamps. These are from Stampendous, and they have 2 little kitties that are kind of peeking around, and what a great idea for a gatefold card.
Right, so this particular kitty was actually stamped and embossed on white cardstock with a black embossing powder.
Okay, let's get in close.
And then it was colored in, detailed with the Pico embellishers.
Right.
So I'm going to show you a little bit about both processes. I'm going to start with those sprays.
Okay.
Oh, and then she was cut out and put right on the edge of that
right
card,
on the edge.
So she can,
absolutely darling.
So cute. I've got black cardstock, and if you happen to have that spray box handy, I think it's right. Yeah. Then I've got 2 of the sprays. I have the electric pink and the electric blue. I have a craft sheet, but really you need a spray box because it does kind of spray. I'm going to try to keep it down low.
Thank you.
You can go up higher to get more of a spread out spray, or you can stay close to get a dense look.
Okay.
So for that one, I think I went out a little bit bigger, put a little bit more craft sheet.
Had a bigger box.
Right. Had a bigger box. Shake them well to mix the colors, because the white will separate from the colors, and then just start spraying. I like to start off of the edge so I don't get like a big blurb, and then just sort of spray onto it, and then add a little bit of the pink, and you can do with the same with the white. So you can see how vibrant it is, and it's really just that easy. Just spray, you let it dry for a while, and then it has a raised surface.
And it also has a shine to it, as I'm seeing here.
Right.
Very pretty,
So it's a glossy look, really. Yeah. So it's got that gloss look.
And it's nice that it doesn't disappear on something like the black cardstock. So I should put this down here?
Sure, that would be just fine. So that's what the sprays do, and there are 5 different colors of sprays. And then I went ahead, stamped and embossed that kitty, like I said, on white cardstock, and then I have the silver and the gold Pico embellishers. So Pico standing for tiny or small, very tiny. And I'm going to show you the lids. While if you unscrew it down here, you'll be removing the entire top from the bottle. You don't want to do that. And you can even unscrew it from the center. If you can take this part off all the way from the white down to here. That will show you the mechanics of what's in here, and that's really not necessary for what our purposes are. What you need to do is just remove the white cap, unscrew, and when you do, now you want to get really close and see that needle nose tip. Really,
talk about
it's
tiny.
so tiny. Yeah,
right.
if I can.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just trying to hold it still so you can see it's
Yeah.
there. It's very tiny. There's a little drip of it coming off there. I'm going to put it up here to sort of get it out of the way. But it's ready to come out, and you can see how fine. You squeeze the bottle a little bit and get it to come out. There is an occasional little blurb that will come out, you know, a little blurb like that. And
like
I made
bubble.
that happen, but it does happen occasionally. But you can see how small you can get it. And it also comes with this very fine needle point on there that you stick right in the center to keep it free from clogs.
Ah.
So this is what we use to go ahead and decorate, to start embellishing your little kitty, and you can just start adding it and moving it around, squeeze it a little bit, add lines, and just start embellishing. And so add gold here, you can add some silver in between, and it will cover up the black, so I kind of try to stay a little bit. It also sort of resisted it just a bit. But that's how you decorate that little
Now
kitty.
that stays shiny and it
Right.
stays raised.
Right,
even,
after it dries.
Even as you kind of smooshed it together.
Right.
So you're getting a similar look, except that it is very controllable. And,
Exactly. And that was kind of what was nice about this. You can really add it just exactly where you want it. Go around the edges, go around the center. So you've got the advantage of the sprays, which would give you that overall, and then a detail.
You know, I love how the silver really adds some of the shadows to the face.
Yeah.
And it really does fill it in. That's really, really nice. So glad to see that.
That was fun. It was
Yeah.
it's just a fun little project.
Okay.
The little kitty's so cute.
It is, darling.
Oh, and I'll point out on the edges, you see, I used the white. I forgot about that. The white Pico embellisher to just do some little doodling along the edges.
So that's very much like pen work that
Sure.
we have done.
You know,
and
you can
nice.
even do sort of a Zentangle with them if you want.
Yes, I bet you could.
Kind of fun.
That'd be gorgeous.
Okay.
Another use for them. Here we have it sprayed onto acetate, and the acetate is over the top of this absolutely little Janie Snow Friends stamp, but it is attached because, let's see, who did this? Susan. Susan just tacked it down right here so that it would stay down, because this card actually opens from the right, and it has more on the inside.
So as far as the sprays, she only used the white, the wedding dress white spray. She just sprayed it on the acetate and let it dry. So now you've got snow. So underneath that, if you lift up the edge like this, you can see all the other work she did underneath, coloring that in with watercolor pencils, and then just laying the snow on top of it.
And you may not want to think about it, but winter is coming, so and Christmas cards are in your future.
I don't mind thinking about it.
On these 90-degree days. So just absolutely charming. And of course, Susan used the heat-resistant acetate because that just makes it easy.
Right, and a design toolkit.
Yeah,
number
she
7.
used number 7, and so that has all the plastic pieces attached with a chain, and you can see that these shapes is what she used to frame.
A simple way to get your own snowy acetate.
Yeah, absolutely charming. And I also like that she brought some of it inside, so I thought that was really a nice way to go. Okay, we're going to move on to dazzles, one of our favorite things.
So using dazzles with a Pico embellisher, and you can see this in the flowers that were placed on pattern paper and then colored in with the Pico embellisher.
So the silver is what was used there.
Right. I just placed one here, one of those flowers, and I can't remember the beautiful flowers.
This is
Flowers and Lace. Flowers and Lace. I just placed it on cardstock. Susan actually put it on pattern paper, and I've got the silver IrResistible Pico embellisher. I removed just that white cap.
Now you're not shaking these up like you do the sprays.
Yes,
you do.
Yes, I am. I didn't do it.
sorry.
I didn't do it, but I shook them up before I started, so I was hoping. But I do want you to see that. You do shake them up. You want to make sure that all of it, because it will settle.
Sure.
And you don't want to get you will get like a liquidy clear. You'd see that.
You don't want
if
that.
you didn't shake it up.
Yeah,
So you want it
that's
all
fair.
distributed well. and then you start coloring in on a dazzle.
It's funny because this looks so much like the embossed black cat that you did,
right.
But this is a dazzle.
But it's a dazzle, so that's just a simple way to get something down. When I'm doing this, I'm squeezing a little bit, getting a tiny little puddle, and then I'm sort of moving it around.
Okay.
That way I don't have to be constantly squeezing. And so very simple, just going right up to the lined edge of the dazzle. It'll sit on top of the dazzle, so I'm trying to avoid the black line a little bit.
You know, I don't think I ever would have thought of silver flowers, and that's just very fun. Now, this is also using, as we said, the flowers and lace dazzles that has that beautiful day, the flowers, the butterflies, the borders, all of it together.
So lots to use on that beautiful center step card.
I was just going to say,
she even did something on the inside.
Yeah, this is a center step card, or it could be the template, either way. And on the inside, she has done a little one. I also like the silver dazzle, jewel dazzle in the center. Very
That's
pretty.
Very sweet. Some computer journaling on there.
Yeah, very, very nice. Quite lovely.
So a very simple use of just one of the Pico embellishers.
But you know, this is Stamp Camp.
Right.
So let's get back to stamping for a moment.
Okay.
So another thing that can be done is you can stamp, and Debbie has used the labels and trim stamps. So here we have that great big beautiful one.
And this is kind of a fun little play technique, just something to, it sort of makes it look a little bit more like a doodling thing, you know, a little bit more vintagey, I'm not, vintagey is not the word, it's not a word in general anyway, but I was trying to think.
It's a little more casual.
Yeah, there you go, casual, a little more free form.
Yeah.
It's kind of and here's how she did it. I'm just going to show one of those small flowers,
Okay.
but the label and all that is done the same way. So I have the flower stamp, and you can use a very light colored ink. You can also stamp off onto a piece of paper before you do this, which I'm going to have something like that here. So here's how you want a very light image that you're going to go over with the Pico embellisher. So I've got the flower, and normally it would be pretty light, but let me see if you want it even lighter. There you can, now that's too light. I'm going to go ahead and use it just like that. I'm going to stamp that just like so, so that you can see it. You want to be able to see the image, but just as an outline, because now you're going to go over that.
After you shake it.
with the white wedding dress white Pico embellisher.
You're going to do white on white, so we're not going to see it.
You're not going to see it much, but that's the point. You're sort of a little bubble there. You're going to move it around. I'm just getting rid of that bubble as I go along, and you just follow the outline of your stamp, just like so. You know, another way of doing this, I mean, I'm following all the lines of the stamps. I'm just filling it in, and I'm being sort of very haphazard with it. Another thing to do is you can make your own design. So make a little flower center, make some flower petals if you want. So, and I know it's white, but the point is we are creating a resist.
Right.
Once that is dry, and I have one that's dry here, then you've got, it's all dry, that's a raised image, it's sort of like embossing, heat embossing, and then you can go over it with, say, a distress ink pad, and I'm just going to go directly on it so you can see that it will resist it. So you color around it, and now you've got that showing up, and Debbie did this, and then she cut those flowers out individually, just like she did the label.
Okay, so that's how they got the color behind them.
Right.
Now, she also did something on the thank you that I thought was pretty ingenious.
She said if you're kind of unsure about your own handwriting,
which all of us are,
you could just go over this cardstock with the Pico embellisher and write thank you, because you can write with it, as you can see that it's detailed, or you can place a dazzle down, which she placed down a white dazzle, and then she went over it with the Pico embellisher to make it a little more puffy.
That is so funny.
And then took the ink pad and went over it and did the resist over it.
Very clever. Very, very clever. Now she left the dazzle in place after she, even when she did the Pico on top of it. So very fun.
Okay.
Now we also have, in using stencils, so we're going to have some fun there. And two different techniques kind of are done here, I think.
Right. It's basically, well, you're still using the stencil. You just place the stencil down on the background as well as, well, here, let me show you.
Okay.
Here's the background that was created.
Now this is the all over swirls,
Right.
which is such a versatile
So the
stencil.
all over swirls was just placed on the white cardstock, and then the black spray was sprayed through. You remove the stencil, and there you go. And if you don't solidly coat it, then you've got all of those little spotty areas, which I
Right.
think is a really pretty look. And it's still that glossy. Maybe you can't see the gloss, but you can definitely feel it. It is textured. So that's kind of neat.
Right.
So that's your background. And then for the butterfly on the front, same thing. You just place the stencil on black cardstock and spray with the black and the blue. And this
What I
is you
think
get.
is, again, that they're so distinctive on black. That's really a benefit.
Yeah, sure.
And very, very pretty.
What I like is that afterwards, I'm going to show this just very
Okay.
briefly. I've got the Berrylicious fluid chalk. I've got a stylus handle with a pad on there. And Lene went over the edge of it
Because it's a resist.
because it's a resist to highlight it. So the black
Right.
pops through and you get this nice pink edged kind of a halo
Neat,
effect. So
neat.
right on top of it. Beautiful.
Very good. So there it is back again. So the pink you can see on the edge there. And that butterfly is foam taped and just gorgeous. On the inside, I wanted to make sure she had done something. She used just a corner of the butterfly focal has this corner treatment as well as a small butterfly, and she used both of those right there with some dazzles, and then just another piece of the black next to the fold, which is very, very nice. You can tell she inked on top. So a lot of texture going on, a lot of, you can feel it.
It's very
and
tactile
it's
and
very
just,
nice.
and just got a little bit of gloss to it, so it's very pretty.
Yeah, and yet lightweight and easy to do, all of those things we like. Now here is quite a different look. So we're back to stamping.
Right.
And this time we're using the fresh cut. And again, because it has that open line art on the
Right.
flowers.
It makes it easy to work with, and these were stamped on acetate. It looks like this. Stamp with black StazOn on acetate. Then you take that Pico embellisher, this is the black one, and then you just go right over the line work. I'm going to start it off on the edge so I don't get like a big drip, and then just start, let me get this in the center here, start going over the edges. And you can be kind of free form, but it's kind of neat because you can make it really sort of pop up and
You know,
give
the
it a
thing
little
that you
dimension.
can do is, if you didn't want to do those inside lines, is you could do the outside of the petals, which is something you couldn't do with
Sure.
embossing powder.
That's true. Just do the outside and leave the inside as is. And then she went through and colored on the back side of them with Spectrum Noir pens. Now, here are some other ones that she stamped and colored on the back with Spectrum Noir. So you
Very
get these
stained glass.
But this is kind of neat. If you bring the card over, I think that could have, these all went with the daisy. If we back up a little bit, we can see that the overall was that went with daisies. I think it would be a neat look with the different kind of flowers
Yeah,
too.
I do
It's
too.
It's a different look entirely.
Now, something else that she did on this card,
Right.
so this is acetate on the front, and this is an easel card. So that hello that looks like she hand wrote is also, of course, on the acetate, and she used, as you know, the fresh cut stamp, but she also used the 11 labels and trims cutting die
To cut that
up.
window in the front. And if
Yeah.
we look, let's look at the back side of this for a moment. So she had to cut an area here on the front of that card so that would,
Right, so it
you'd
would
be able
show.
to see through it, and then you just score it in half and you've got your easel card.
Right.
I'm going to bring the acetate in just for a second just to show you. You can go ahead and do your own script. So I don't know what mine will look like. Oh, see, there's
That's a
one of
blurb.
the, see, the little, so you do it a couple of times so you get one that you like. And there you go.
Nice.
Ta-da.
Very nice. Yeah, easy, easy. And a great look. I also like that the center of her flowers is just a big kind of circle of the black because
Right.
it's raised. and it just gives a nice dimension. So that's something you could do maybe on patterned paper as it had flowers, or any stamped images.
You could add little dots. I think one of the, I think we saw that on the edge of the one, like that pink and blue card, there was just a row of dots going on.
Just a nice edge. Now, scrapbookers, you know we love you, and to prove it, we have a project. Now, this is just a treasure. It's absolutely a treasure. This is using the postcard stamp. Now, this, as we've seen, has these large images as well as small ones. The large images were used on the papers, as you can see.
And some kind of unique things were done with it. And this, I really treated this sort of like a mixed media event, because it goes in stages.
But don't let that scare you.
Oh, well, this should be fun. Well, you know, when I thought of this, and after I did it, I don't know the woman in the picture, but I'm thinking I would love to do this with my grandma. So you know, it's a labor of love doing something like this. You could do very little touches, and then it would be, you wouldn't have to put quite so much time. Okay, so that is from the Stolen Moments paper pack, and so I've got pattern paper on the back, and I'm going to show you.
And this is an ivory, so it might not be appearing very much for you.
Okay, so you see a little bit there, but I've got Timber Brown Stays on ink because I wanted kind of a vintage thing going on. I've got that large postcard stamp, and I used two different ones, one with the bird, this is the one with the flowers. And you're going to see me do something kind of different in a minute that I saw it somewhere, I can't remember where, and then I thought, I'm going to try that. So first thing we're going to do.
Should I act shocked and surprised?
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh, Gail, oh my goodness.
I know, you've probably seen it before. You've seen it. I started in the bottom right-hand corner for the lower piece, and then in the top left-hand corner for the upper piece. And I start by stamping it about a 1/4 inch from the corner. So I stamp the entire postcard. Okay. And if it doesn't all get on there, it's all right. It's a vintage look. There, I covered myself by saying that. Now, we want to stay backed out, because you're going to want to be able to see everything that I do here. I'm going to ink it again. Okay, here we go. I'm going to remove it from the block, and I'm just going to start stamping separate pieces. I'm going to hold it up on one side and just sort of use my fingers to do that. Add a little there, add a little of the swirls over here. Just using my fingers to sort of move around and just get some different effects. And I just kind of, then I'll have to put it back on there. Yeah, I get a little bit messy, but this is so fun. And I liked it because on that postcard, it's large, and there are all these separate little elements that are just really, really cool.
That's very neat.
And I liked getting those extra images on there. So stamp a little bit there, stamp a little bit, let's see, little swirls right there.
So you can select what area you're doing. Now we can get in close, John. Okay, so we've got the swirls up there.
So that's the stamping
and you're not worried about it being a complete image, because that's just part of the distressed vintage look.
Right. And you can do it a couple of different ways. I've cut, you know, that it looks a little different depending every time, depending on how you choose to do that.
I like that multiple right there.
Right,
that's
the multiple.
Neat.
So we'll take that. Now we need our spray box again.
Okay.
Because the next thing we're going to do is use the silver spray.
Silver.
And I'm going to try to stay a little bit on the corners. It's hard to be limited in this small space.
We'll have to get a bigger box.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you get too close, it's sort of going to be a line. There we go.
Did you shake it?
Also, you do have to clean the ends off if it dries on there, and that might be a little bit. I did shake it.
Okay.
But I'm trying to just go off the edge a little bit. That was a little bit much. But if the further away you stay, you stay off the edge, you're going to get, you know, less. It's going to be more spatter.
You get more of the dots.
Okay, right. You get more of the dots, which I'll show you actually did occur on this one. So there's with just the dots on the edges.
Oh, pretty.
And then I went back with the Pico Embellishers. I went back to the postcard areas and some of the flowers and just colored in
with the gold
for a little bit of highlighting detail. Am I getting on there? All right. just go around the edges a little bit. And
oh,
around
that's
the
interesting.
center.
So not coloring the whole thing,
Oh,
just
yeah,
going around
just
the edges.
I wasn't going to take that
how
much
diggity.
time. So very simple.
Yeah.
Go on those leaves a little bit.
And don't worry about the other things that are there.
Right. Yeah,
just
you don't
do
have to
some
get everything.
selective.
Just add a little bit.
Okay, I've got to bring the
Okay.
page back in. Okay, now that we're nice and close, see, you can see what she's done. So that, and then you did some silver with it. So the silver and the yellow.
The silver sort of back around, and you can see the spots that were sprayed.
Yeah, with the silver spray.
And then I did it separately on separate little pieces of paper, like down here. And then I actually computer journaled on it after I did all of the Pico embellishing.
That is just lovely. Then you also, we're going to stay in tight, John. We also took some of the white flowers,
Right.
the Prima flowers.
Spray them just a little bit, and then detail them with the gold Pico embellishers.
You did some layering and some the La Creme
And a lot of,
pearls.
I like the vintage work on the edges, a lot of sanding and distressing.
This is not corrugated. This is paper out of the Stolen Moments.
Stolen Moments
Yeah.
paper pack, right.
Just beautiful. Now we'll show you the whole page. I also like how you've got parts going onto the photograph. I just
Right.
think it kind of incorporates everything.
Right, that one big square that I taught, I mean, there's one down here and there's one up there, so I put most of the stamping in that
Sure.
corner, and then on this one down in that, so.
Well, I think it's irresistible.
Okay, I think so too. There's one more thing I'd like to
One
show
more?
you about
Okay,
these.
bring it in.
It's not a project, but it is something that you can do. What I have
You've been
here,
playing, haven't you?
Yeah, show different ways that you can use this. So here's just a piece of regular cardstock, and then I sprayed it a big area with blue, a big area with pink, and you can see that it's glossy. And I made sure that it was thick and tried to get pretty much total coverage, but then you get all the spots out on the edges. Once you do that, you get out your StazOn. You would have to need something like a StazOn or a Surfaces. I've got one of the Janie's, I think it's Carousel Animals on here. Ink that up really good, and you can stamp directly onto that embossed surface.
Oh,
Like
even though it's
so.
glossy.
Even though it's glossy.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
That's why you're
StazOn
doing
will,
this.
go, that's why I use the StazOn and make sure that I've got it all over.
There
Ta-da.
you go. Very
It makes such a nice
fun.
image. You can leave it just like that, and there you've got your background, but you can also go back and take some Spectrum Noir pens and add more detail. Let's use the
Yeah, so use a fine tip.
Yeah, add more detail if you want. Color that in. It colors right on top of it as well, so you can add detail. Am I on there? Yeah, okay.
And if you wanted to use the irresistible gold in there.
Sure, add a little of those as
yeah,
well.
would be very pretty.
But I thought it was cool that you
Ah.
could color on top of them with Spectrum Noir.
Nice to
That's a
see.
great. You put a little gold on the ball at the top
Right.
of that.
Okay.
So,
more
you have
irresistible.
options.
Okay.
Irresistible options.
And I think you agree. We've got lots of ideas. And please join us tomorrow for our last
Stamp
ending.
down.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
It will be. We'll see you then.